I want you to take a second and just picture your own family photo albums.
Oh, yeah, everybody has those.
Right. You know the ones I'm talking about. They usually sit on a bottom shelf somewhere, kind of gathering dust.
Bound in those really fading, sticky plastic covers.
Exactly. The sticky pages. So you flip through them, and it's just this parade of normal stuff. Birthdays, awkward middle school
A
haircuts.
lot of bad haircuts, yeah.
So many bad haircuts. Weddings, maybe a summer trip to the lake. Just all these moments of your life and your parents' lives neatly captured and filed away.
Right, it's a completely safe, nostalgic space.
It is. But now I want you to imagine looking really closely at a photo you have seen 100 times before. Just a completely normal snapshot.
Okay.
But this time you realize there is a stranger standing right there among your relatives. A stranger who, without a shadow of a doubt, was not in that picture yesterday.
Oh, man. That creates an immediate sense of vertigo. I mean, a physical photograph isn't supposed to change. Our entire relationship with the past relies on that idea, that once the shutter snaps, that fraction of a second is just locked in place permanently.
And that violation of permanence is exactly what we are exploring today. So welcome to the deep dive. Today we are unpacking a truly chilling narrative excerpted from a story called The Girl in the Yellow Dress.
It is such a good piece of source material.
It really is. But our mission today isn't just to, sit around and recount a spooky ghost story. We are going to use this source material as a lens to explore a much more terrifying real-world concept hidden inside the text.
Yeah, we're looking at a haunting where the true monster isn't some spirit hiding in the closet.
Exactly. It's collective amnesia, psychological survival, and family guilt.
The author constructs a literal masterclass in psychological horror here. I mean, they take the safest space imaginable, the family unit and our shared history, and just turn it into a hostile environment.
And they set the scene so perfectly to disarm you, too. It's monsoon season. The rain is just tapping gently against the window.
Very atmospheric.
Very. We have our protagonist, Riya, sitting cross-legged on the floor, lazily flipping through these cracked leather albums that smell like dust and old paper.
It sounds so cozy.
It does. If you're listening right now, you've probably had a lazy afternoon just like this. And that absolute normality is precisely what makes the impending anomaly hit so incredibly hard.
Because we drop our defenses in moments of nostalgia. We aren't, bracing for a threat when we're looking at a picture of a 7th birthday party.
Which brings us to the anomaly itself. So Riya is looking at this photograph from 1998. It's her mother beside a birthday cake.
Pretty standard stuff.
Right. But standing right between the relatives is a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
She looks around 7 years old. She's thin, kind of pale, with long black hair hiding half her face.
Creepy.
Very. And she's wearing an old yellow dress, just staring directly into the camera. Not smiling at all.
It's just such a jarring visual intrusion. You have this typical joyous birthday imagery, and then this static, almost clinical presence inserted right into the middle of it.
Yeah, so Riya just casually points it out, assuming she's, I don't know, forgetting a second cousin or something. She says, "Mom, who's this?"
And the mom's reaction is just...
Oh, it's awful. Her mother glances at the photo and her expression just completely drops. She says she doesn't know.
Which is weird enough on its own.
Yeah, but Riya laughs it off, saying, "She's literally standing beside you." And then her mother stares at the girl for a long time and whispers, "She wasn't there before."
Chills. Just chills.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because reading that moment, I kept going back and forth on what was actually frightening here. The creepy girl standing in the physical photograph is bad, obviously.
Definitely bad.
But the mother's reaction, whispering that the past has literally been altered, that feels so much worse to me.
Well, the reaction is what completely unmoors the narrative. I mean, if the mother just said, "Oh, that's the neighbor's kid," the tension evaporates.
Right, it's solved.
Exactly.
Okay.
But by acknowledging that the physical photograph has mutated, we are entirely untethered from reality. The fundamental laws of the physical world have basically broken down in Ria's living room.
It tells the reader that the physical evidence of their life is just no longer reliable.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It's like finding a reality glitch, but the glitch is localized entirely within your own bloodline. And the text ramps up so fast from there, they frantically start pulling out the other albums, and this little girl is suddenly everywhere.
In all of them.
Every decade, every gathering. She's standing beside Ria's grandfather in older military photos. She's lurking near cousins at weddings, always the same age, always the same yellow dress.
See, the haunting escalates there from a localized anomaly to a pervasive systemic infection. It's not just one cursed object like a haunted doll.
Right.
The entire historical record of the family has been compromised.
And it breaks the laws of linear time, too. Rhea finds a black and white image from 1971 showing the girl beside her great-grandmother, which is decades before the 7-year-old should even exist.
The timeline makes no sense.
None. There's another photo of the girl in the hospital room right after Rhea herself was born, just staring at the lens. And that specific hospital photo is what finally breaks the grandmother's silence.
Oh, the grandmother scene is so intense.
It really is. The grandmother gets visibly disturbed. Her hands start trembling, and she whispers, "She used to stand outside the house."
What's fascinating here is the specific language the grandmother uses next, because when Rhea asks what happened to the little girl, the grandmother goes completely pale and says, "I think we forgot."
Yeah, that phrasing is so deliberate.
It is. She doesn't say we lost touch. She doesn't say she moved away or she died. She says we forgot. That single phrase establishes memory itself as the central battleground of this story.
Wow, yeah.
It's not a haunting of a physical house. It's a haunting of the mind.
I'm really glad you pointed that out, because the house actually does seem to react to that exact phrase. Like, the moment the grandmother acknowledges this forgotten girl, the power instantly goes out.
Total blackout.
Total blackout. The physical environment literally mirrors the psychological one.
Because the family built their entire existence around a repressed secret. Acknowledging that secret is like removing a major load-bearing wall in a house.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
You don't just get a better view of what's behind it. The entire structural integrity of the home collapses. The whole system just crashes.
And it's a terrifying crash. So it's pitch black in the house, right?
Yeah.
Except for occasional flashes of distant lightning. And then, somewhere upstairs in the dark,
Don't even say it.
a child laughs.
Yeah.
A soft 2-second laugh from inside their own home.
Nope. Absolutely not.
I know. So Ria's younger brother, Arav, he rushes upstairs thinking someone broke in, but he doesn't find anyone. Instead, he finds a freshly printed, still warm photograph sitting on the hallway floorboards.
Still warm. That detail is so gross.
It is. And the photo shows the family sitting downstairs during the current blackout. And standing right behind them in the dark is the little girl in the yellow dress. And now, she's smiling.
It's just a brilliant escalation. Up until this point, the threat was entirely retrospective. It was confined to the past.
Just old albums.
Right. But this still warm photograph brings the entity violently into the present tense. She isn't just history anymore. She is in the house, currently watching them.
Which kicks off the real contagion. This is where the haunting shifts gears entirely. It starts with these tiny memory lapses. Ria's mother forgets her cousin's name on a phone call.
Just little things at first.
Yeah. Erev can't recognize his own childhood friends in old pictures. The grandmother starts asking for her husband, who has been dead for 11 years.
The author is using the framework of supernatural horror here to mirror the very real, very human terror of cognitive decline.
Like dementia.
Exactly, like dementia or Alzheimer's, where the mind just slowly erodes. But in this narrative that erosion isn't biological, it's weaponized.
It feels exactly like a malicious computer virus overwriting a hard drive. It doesn't just delete a file and leave an empty space.
Right, nature abhors a vacuum.
Exactly. Yeah. A really nasty virus corrupts the surrounding data, masks itself, and then replaces the deleted file with its own malicious code. The little girl is the virus, and the family's shared memory is the hard drive being systematically overwritten.
That is a perfect analogy.
And then it hits Ria's uncle. Rhea wakes up one morning and literally cannot conjure her uncle's face in her mind. It's just a blank, blurry space.
His face fakes from all the physical photographs too, right?
Yes. Within a day, nobody in the family can remember him clearly. 3 days later, he's entirely wiped from the photos, and the little girl in the yellow dress is standing in his place.
He isn't just killed, he is totally unmade.
Which brings us to Arav. Because if a family's memory is a compromised hard drive, what happens to the files that are currently open and running?
Oh, this part is so sad.
That's what makes Arav's fate so devastating. They're just sitting around the dinner table, and Arav just looks around with total confusion and asks, "Who's a Karav?" I want you, the listener, to really picture this. Imagine sitting at your dinner table tonight, looking across at your sibling or your child, and they suddenly ask who they are.
It is arguably the most disturbing moment in the entire text. By midnight, Arav is completely gone from the photos, replaced by the smiling girl.
Just erased.
The existential horror here is that the erasure is entirely insidious. I mean, RF doesn't scream, he doesn't fight off an attacker.
There's no blood.
Right, he simply ceases to exist in his own mind and then the minds of his family. He evaporates without even realizing he's dying.
And because Arab is just gone, and the rest of the family doesn't even remember having a son, Riya is entirely isolated. She
Yeah.
is the only one who realizes her brother was just deleted from reality.
That's a lonely place to be.
Incredibly lonely.
Yeah.
So this forces her to look outside the infected family unit. She starts desperately searching online, trying to find anything about disappearing memories or this specific little girl.
She recognizes that her internal family network is corrupted, so she has to step outside the hard drive, so to speak, to find an objective, uncorrupted backup of the historical data.
And here's where it gets really interesting. She digs up an old newspaper archive from 1964. There's a tiny article buried at the bottom of a page titled, "Local Girl Missing After River Accident."
A huge breakthrough.
Huge.
Mhm.
And the picture accompanying it is the girl in the yellow dress. We finally get her name, Meera Sharma, age 7. The article notes she disappeared during a family picnic near Blackwater River, and her body was never found.
Which really grounds the supernatural elements in a grim, mundane reality, just a tragic accident involving a drowned child.
But the article has one sentence that changes the entire context. It says, family members reportedly stopped remembering the missing child weeks after the incident. Several relatives insist the girl never existed.
That is so messed up.
It is. And wait, let me stop you there because I struggled with this while reading the source material. I need to push back on the premise for a second.
Sorry, go ahead.
You can't just unremember a child drowning. I figured the grandparents were just lying to the younger generation, just putting on a brave face to hide a dark secret.
You could cover up.
Yeah. But the text implies they actually forgot. Wait, the ghost didn't start the forgetting. The family did. How does an entire family just naturally forget a tragedy of that magnitude?
It's a really crucial distinction, and it dives into some fascinating psychology. Because they aren't just keeping a secret, the text is leaning into the concept of collective denial, or something akin to a shared psychosis like folie à plusieurs.
Right.
When a trauma is so overwhelmingly severe and the guilt is so crushing, the human brain can literally rewrite neural pathways to avoid the memory as a survival mechanism.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if an entire group of people silently race to enforce a taboo to just never speak a name, they don't just bury the truth. Over decades, that shared fabricated narrative becomes their actual lived reality. The original memory is entirely walled off.
So they didn't just casually forget her. They surgically removed her from their reality to save themselves from the guilt.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the entire haunting is a reflection of the family's original sin.
Right.
The haunting isn't random. The ghost is simply doing to them exactly what they did to her. She is erasing them, one by one, to build a new reality. She's stealing their existence because they collaboratively stole hers.
And the moment Riya reads that 1964 article, that psychological wall comes down. She suddenly remembers the truth of the picnic, passed down through these repressed fragments.
Memory floods back.
Yeah. She remembers the yellow dress floating in the dark water. She remembers the adults whispering, "We can't tell anyone."
Yeah.
By unearthing this, Riya officially breaks the family's multi-generational pact of amnesia.
She broke the seal.
She did. But here's the tragic irony. Acknowledging the truth doesn't banish the ghost. It summons Meera directly to her bedroom door.
Which completely subverts a very common trope. I mean, we are usually taught that bringing a dark secret into the light will cleanse it.
Right. Therapy and all that.
Yeah, modern psychology emphasizes confronting our demons. But in this narrative, the repression was the only thing keeping the entity contained.
Oh, that's such a good point.
Acknowledging the secret gives it physical form. The memory is no longer repressed. Therefore, the monster is no longer confined to the photographs.
And the climax of the story is incredibly tense. Riya is frozen in her bedroom. She hears these small, bare footsteps in the hallway, softly crossing the floorboards.
So creepy.
Then a quiet, lonely child's voice speaks through the door. She asks, "Why won't you remember me?"
Heartbreaking, honestly.
It is. And as Riya backs away, all the photos she scattered on her floor start shifting. The faces blur and move like a time-lapse video. In every single image, the girl steps closer to the camera. Riya watches her own face fade from the pictures as the little girl takes her place next to her mother.
The overwriting process is literally happening in real time. Riya is witnessing her own deletion.
Then the bedroom door creaks open. Meera is no longer just ink on paper. She physically manifests.
In the room with her.
Yes. And the description is so visceral. She's pale, she's dripping actual river water onto the bedroom floorboards, her eyes are completely black underneath these wet strands of hair, and she's just smiling gently.
That is nightmare fuel.
Right. So Riya, terrified, asks her what she wants. And Mira just tilts her head and gives a two-word answer. A family.
It's deeply sad when you really think about it. She doesn't want traditional revenge. She isn't there for blood.
No?
She just wants the life that was taken from her. She wants to belong to the system that abandoned her. But to do that, she has to overwrite the current occupants.
So Riya manages to bolt out of the room and heads for the stairs. But the house is already lost. As she runs down the staircase, she looks at the walls, and the framed photos are changing before her eyes.
They're all updating.
Yeah, her family members are vanishing. Mira is seamlessly inserting herself into decades of family history, standing next to absolute strangers.
The descent down the stairs is such a potent visual metaphor for the collapse of their lineage. I mean, the walls themselves are documenting the erasure of their bloodline.
And while she's running, Riya hears her mother's voice from upstairs asking, "Who was Riya?"
Oh no!
Yeah, forgetting has caught her. She is being actively erased from her mother's mind at that very second.
The panic she must have felt.
In a total panic, Riya grabs the oldest photo album and rips through the pages, trying to find the source, that original 1964 photograph of the riverside picnic. She finds it. Mira is standing near the water. But there is a detail Riya missed before.
And this detail completely recontextualizes the entire tragedy.
It really does.
Because beside Mira in the photo, someone had violently scratched a sentence into the paper years ago. We left her there.
Gave me such pause. Because an accident is one thing. A child slipping into a river while adults are distracted, I mean, that's a tragedy.
Definitely.
But we left her there as an entirely different level of horror.
It proves active complicity. It implies a conscious, collective decision to abandon the child.
Which changes everything.
Completely. Whether she was still alive in the water and they panicked, or they just decided walking away was easier than facing the consequences, the omission built the haunting. The amnesia wasn't just a coping mechanism for trauma, it was a straight-up cover-up.
Yeah.
They walked away from the river, and then they systematically deleted her from their minds to evade the psychological toll of what they did.
But uncovering that truth isn't enough to stop the contagion, though. The narrative takes us to this incredibly bleak, silent conclusion. The lights flicker back on. The house is dead silent.
Too late to fix it.
Way too late. Riya looks at the walls, and now every single frame shows only Mira, standing with different strangers across different decades. The entire family is gone. Only Mira is remembered.
Wow.
Then Riya hears footsteps behind her. She turns around, and it's her mother standing in the doorway, just staring blankly at her. Her mother looks at her politely and asks, "Excuse me? Who are you?"
Riya hasn't been physically harmed, but she has been completely unmade in the eyes of her creator. She is now the forgotten stranger in her own home. The cycle of erasure is just complete.
So what does this all mean? We started out by talking about ghosts and spooky photographs, but the source material is clearly aiming at something much deeper about how we function as human beings.
Well, the girl in the yellow dress uses the framework of a ghost story to dissect a very real, very common human flaw. Our desperate desire to rewrite our own history to avoid pain.
Right.
Every family has secrets. Every family has a narrative they present to the world and a shadow narrative they choose not to talk about.
The skeletons in the closet.
Exactly. This story takes that tendency, the silent agreement to ignore a painful truth, and shows the catastrophic cost of it. The ultimate horror here isn't a ghost with black eyes dripping river water.
No.
The true horror is the realization that the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally possess the capacity to simply let you fade away if remembering you becomes too painful.
It makes you look at those old, dusty family albums we talked about at the very beginning in a completely different light.
It really does.
If you're listening to this on a commute or a walk, think about the last time you argued with a family member over how a childhood event happened. Memory isn't a video recording. It's more like a Wikipedia page that anyone in your family can edit.
That's so true.
We curate the photos, we keep the smiles, and we conveniently misplace the moments we just don't want to explain.
We are all, to some extent, unreliable narrators of our own lives. And when a whole family collaborates on that unreliable narration, the actual truth can easily be drowned.
Which leaves us with a pretty heavy thought to take with us today. Think back to that imaginary photo album we talked about. The sticky pages, the smiling faces. We assume our place in those albums and our place in our family's minds is permanent. But if our existence within a family is entirely dependent on the memories they choose to hold of us,
Yeah.
what happens to us the moment they decide to look away?